Today we're gonna react to the biggest cheater in Pokemon history was finally caught.
Runner Jadewi would set 10 records across 4 different games in the Pokemon series, a feat very uncommon today as the Pokemon games have been speedrun and optimized for over a decade. But it turns out that Jadewi only accomplished this because he was cheating. Perhaps worst of all, he almost managed to steal $8,500 worth of bounties with his cheated records. So let's start by looking at the run that first raised suspicion and led to Jadewi's world of fake records to come crashing down.
What do we think they're doing? Do we think they're splicing or they're using some sort of TAS or TAS assisted thing? I've seen that splicing is like a big thing in the speedrunning community. If you're watching this for the first time, hello, we're just learning about speedrunning stuff. Welcome to the channel. But I haven't seen any TAS cheater stuff yet. I don't know, is that possible to even catch? It must be. Let's find out. I'm very curious about this. And also the fact that this person has set so many records, and 10 records in 4 games is alarming because, like they said, the games are so old, they're so optimized at this point, it's almost impossible to have that many records. Some sort of program is my guess. I'm also agreeing.
On November 17, 2023, Jadewi was streaming attempts of Pokemon Sapphire Any% Glitchless, a game he first completed a run in just 4 days previously with a time of 2 hours and 39 seconds. The run he was currently on had an even better pace, and when it finished, he had achieved a second place time that was 5 seconds off the current world record. If we look at Jadewi's timeline with the game, we see between his first run and second place time, only 4 days had passed, with another runner commenting that a 2-hour time is insane for a first attempt. Jadewi replied,
That's a red flag for me right there, right off the bat. It was just like the blind Mario speedrunner we watched last, about how he was saying this is the 3rd time he ever ran Super Mario 64 blind. And we know there's no, in the speedrunning world, from what I've seen so far, there's no such thing as like unless I'm completely wrong about this, please correct me if I'm wrong. But what I'm learning is there's not really like generational talents that appear that are just instantly godlike at speedrunning. It's more memorization, right? Obviously, there's some people that are amazing at finding loopholes and glitches, and they're really great at breaking the game. But however, what I'm learning about speedrunning is that it's reps. It doesn't really matter how naturally talented you are at anything. I could be wrong. Some people obviously are going to be a little bit better than others naturally. That's just the way anything works that's competitive. But no one's going to start doing their speedrun for the very first time and be a fucking wizard. It doesn't seem possible from what we've experienced so far.
That he had been practicing every split of the game for several days and was close to a 202 in his previous attempts, but that he struggled with the bike sections. Aside,
Distortion 2 becomes top tier in every game he plays, but he's an unhealthy grinder. Yes. That probably comes with a lot of experience. What I'm saying is, like, there's no real way for someone who's new to the speedrunning space to come in. I would love to be proven wrong, but I just feel like there's no possible way for someone to come in and just like absolutely be a god right off the bat. This is something like you can't just go into the pro leagues. Like, if you've never played soccer or football before, and they throw you into a pro game, you're getting your ass shit on. It doesn't matter if you are like some sort of like, there's no level of natural talent that's without any practice that's going to throw you into a pro level game and make you stand a chance against even the worst person in the professional soccer league. I remember there's I don't remember the guy's name, but it's worth looking up. There's a guy named, oh God, I can't remember his name. He was considered like the worst player in the NBA. And he ended up getting challenged by like a bunch of like college D1 guys, like talented players, right? And the story goes is that he shit all over these guys. Absolutely destroyed them. It wasn't even close. And there was like some quote that he said that said, "I am closer to LeBron James than you are to me." We're going on a bit of a tangent here, but I'm just trying to explain how high skill levels go, and natural talent isn't just going to cut it. Speedrunning is all about memorizing and reproducing minute movements, so no way a newbie can do it. That's right. Seems to be a lot of muscle memory, right? Anyway, so just red flag right off the bat.
From these 2 runs and Discord comments, with only the second place run even having a video, there wasn't any other evidence of Jadewi's progress with the game. While he did have history with other games in the series,
so he just
his
appeared.
Less than a week grind to second place didn't sit well with one person in particular,
less than a week
the world
grind
record holder, Wave Warrior, and he set to work analyzing Jadewi's run. Since Jadewi admitted to having problems with the bike, this was one of the first things Wave Warrior checked. In particular, he scrutinized a trick that lets you skip spinner trainers called run-to bikes. When you approach a spinner, they behave differently based on how you're moving. If you're walking or on the bike, they will pick a random direction to look every 32 frames. But if you're running, they will always look in the direction you're traveling when you enter their hearing radius.
Ooh, I didn't know. I actually didn't know it worked like that. Okay, that's interesting. So spinners, I guess, are trainers that are on the map that will like rotate. They actually have some movement, because some trainers will always look forward and like block a gate, for example. I'm talking about my very limited Pokemon knowledge. But spinners are trainers that will actually look around. So as a speedrunner, you actually probably have to be pretty careful about these things, right? Okay, that's making sense to me. I have a pencil because I'm taking notes as I go. I'm so curious about this stuff.
A spinner will always catch you when running. This mechanic can be exploited to always pass a spinner, provided you can execute the requirements fast enough. When a spinner picks a direction to look, they will remain stationary for 31 frames. On the 32nd, the random direction calculation is run again. This gives you a window of 31 frames to pass a spinner with zero risk of being caught. So players run into the hearing radius to force a certain direction, then get on the bike, which takes 16 frames. Start moving, which is 8 frames, with each additional tile of movement being 4 frames. This sequence adds up to...
So you have about a 3 to 4... No, you have a 3 frame buffer, because if you're not out of these 3 frames, then by the time this final frame, the 32nd frame connects, if you're not out of that range in the 3 frames, then he's going to instantly snap to you.
28 frames, giving you a 6 frame window to come to a complete stop after running, as you can't mount the bike while moving. This is a very demanding trick, with top runners being able to pull it off more often than not. But when the 7 run-to bikes in Jadewi's run were analyzed, it turned out that none of them were safe. He was so late on one of them that the NPC turned before he was safely passed, and on a second, he did the movement wrong and continued.
Bro, see, this is what I'm talking about. The knowledge, like, it's really amazing that someone, like a top level person, like this is obviously the world record holder who's analyzing this footage, he can look at something, he can look at this random NPC in this video game and be like, oh yeah, the frames are off of how this guy spins. Isn't that amazing? Like, the level of knowledge needed is so cool.
Traveling in its line of sight, meaning had it turned, he would have been caught. This didn't look like the movement execution of a world record level runner, so Wave Warrior dug deeper into the run, this time analyzing the 3 manipulations that take place, and what he found didn't add up either. While this speedrun was beginning to look questionable, one thing you don't want to question is the factuality of your news. And this video's sponsor, Ground News, can help in that regard. Ground News is a platform and app I use to stay up to date on events around the world, with it combining articles from local and international sources in one place for easy access. Part of the reason I find this so useful is that it sources articles from across the political spectrum and displays which way a particular source leans. Take the recent achievement in
That was a good ad. That was a good...
You can see in the bias
that was a good segue.
This was covered by more center and left organizations than right-leaning ones. With the bias insights
crazy to do a random political
to focus on. Sources
political ad right in the middle of a Pokemon speedrunning one, but whatever.
But
you know what?
Average score of the source.
YouTubers, you got to get the bag.
Independent news monitoring organizations. You can even see where your own biases lie based on analytics about what
I've actually seen this app before. Very interesting. Yeah, get your bag.
For those
Honestly, get your bag.
Features, you'll need a subscription, and using my promo code, you can go to ground.news/Abisoft to get 30% off unlimited access to the Vantage plan using my link.
I actually do recommend this app. I do recommend this app because I have it as well, but use their, since we're reacting to their video, absolutely use their affiliate link. Of course.
Sapphire. RNG in Sapphire is supposed to randomize the seed every time you perform a soft reset, but due to a bug, it instead starts from the same seed, which enables 3 manipulations to take place. Mudkip, Kyogre, and Wingull Manip. Wingull Manip is used to force an encounter.
Bro, Wingull Manip. It sounds like... Wingull Manip sounds like a Animal Crossing name or something. Wingull Manip. It's beautiful.
And catch, with the Wingull having specific stats so it can one-shot a Geodude. To perform it, you need to save and soft reset, then press continue on a certain frame to get RNG on a known value, then follow a specific path. You'll know if you're on the right seed by checking the NPC movement, but there is another factor.
This is crazy.
And that's step count. As every 128 steps, the game has a 50% chance to advance the friendship mechanic, which will change your RNG. And coincidentally, this happens during Wingull Manip, so your step count matters. So what does this have to do with Jadewi's run? When he's leaving little
Okay, let me get that straight. That's crazy. So there's a certain manipulation tactic you can do by restarting the game in a certain way. By checking the seed, you can know you're in that random generated seed. If you by looking at some of the NPCs, maybe there's certain NPC movement. You walk past someone, he's facing this way instead of another way, and you're like, yes, okay, I'm in the right seed. But then you have to watch your steps, because based on your steps, it triggers a friendship, a random friendship. What?
Town, he walks straight up, which triggers Mom to walk over to you. This not only wastes time compared to talking to Mom yourself,
I see.
but also alters the step count. This put his step count at -7 compared to the established route, meaning he had to make a correction on the fly to save the manip. Since he's on an odd number, this meant he needed to do one of the correcting steps in the door of the market, as it's the only place where a single step can be adjusted. Jadewi doesn't do this, however, and takes 2 steps above a ledge instead.
Rookie mistake, right? I mean, obviously, when you're doing the Wingle manip, you never do that. Especially if you're doing the Wingle manip, you gotta make sure that if you're on an odd number of steps, you got to correct that by going in there. You got to correct it by going into the Pokemart and going through the door. That's a classic mistake. This guy's obviously faking it. Unbelievable.
Resulting in a step count of -5. According to top runners, this spot isn't where you'd make a correction for Wingle manip, so
that's
this was
crazy.
Most likely
What a small detail.
Mistake. But a -5 step count still has a 50% chance of success, and the manip works in Jadewi's run. Later in the run is Kyogre manip, very similar to Wingull, as you soft reset, then use a timer to aid in catching a Kyogre with a first turn Great Ball, with this being considered the hardest manip in the run. Jadewi also hit this manip on his first try, and
practically gave himself away.
Manips are significant, as well as look at the Mudkip manip.
I mean, it's so obvious, right? It's there as plain as day. I don't know. I think it's so amazing how hardcore the speedrunning communities can be, man. Like immediately, like they know the game so well that even just seeing a speedrun time from someone they don't really recognize or like came in quick, they're instantly like their gut is instantly like something is off, and instantly that initiated them to scrutinize some of the gameplay, which is so crazy. And then it goes down to the frames where they're like, no, that's wrong, because this guy was 6 frames off. It's not possible for him to do that. So amazing.
In a bit, as there are 3 healing decisions he made that also raise red flags. Across the run, there are only 5 potions that you'll have access to, so health management and knowing when to use one are extremely important. But if we analyze Jadewi's use of potions, we don't see the actions of someone with intimate knowledge of the run. Instead, we see someone that doesn't know what they're doing. In Petalburg Woods after the Wingull manip, there's a Team Aqua member with a Poochyena that runners call the Aqua Pooch. Going into this fight, his Mudkip is at 19 of 25 HP, and he decides to use a potion to top it up. This decision makes no sense, as you're not in danger of dying in this.
Okay, no point in using the potion, because this guy is Aqua Pooch isn't going to be killing you anyway. So save those frames, right? Save those frames. There's no point. This is a lack of knowledge, and a world record runner wouldn't be doing this. So that's instantly like, well, why is that guy doing that? That doesn't make any sense. I know I'm repeating things a lot, but I'm also trying to grasp this. So I apologize. I'm trying to make it clear for myself.
Fight unless you're at 13 HP. And any experienced runner knows this, but it's not even the only instance. On his way to the 5th gym, he heals his Marshtomp from 50 out of 81 before fighting the Delcatty. The Delcatty only has Double Slap as a damage move, which deals 6 per hit. And if you're taking enough damage in this fight that you have to heal, you likely lost significant time to its non-damaging moves as well, which is a reset anyway. On top of this, it's more beneficial to heal before the next fight, as a Linoon can raise its attack and do significantly more damage. The most egregious heal, however, is at the end of the game when he tops up his Kyogre from 64. The most damage that Steven's Skarmory can do is 45 with its Aerial Ace, meaning the only thing to worry about is a crit. By healing here, he also changes the decisions that Skarmory's AI can take, which opens him up to a potential turnstall. The crit is only a 3% chance, and what makes this worse is that he decided to heal while on world record pace. No top.
Wow. I would never make these mistakes. No. Basically, if you're on world record pace and there's a 3% chance of getting crit, 3% chance to basically bork your run, Most professional speedrunners, pro speedrunners, would take that chance. I think most people would. So the fact that he healed up right there when it's only a 3% chance of the run getting ended, if you don't do it, is an interesting choice. Again, not inherently a red flag necessarily. I would call it, maybe that's a beige flag, but there's like a bunch of flags. When you combine a bunch of beige flags together, suddenly those beige flags are looking a little red. And a lot of this stuff is very interesting. It really just seems to be about knowing the fights. And if you know the fight inside and out, if you know literally every move they can do and every iteration of every move they can do, like, oh, if someone does an attack up ability and then attacks you, then you might be in trouble. But having that knowledge probably makes some decision making extremely easy, right? And that's what they're saying. A bunch of beige flags put together make a brown flag. That sounds disgusting. That's what I'm thinking. So obviously this healing stuff is just, oh, what a disaster, right? I mean, you're practically giving it away.
Runner would play around the crit with world record on the line, and this decision puts his ability to be a second place runner in serious doubt, with the theory being that he topped up his HP to make it easier to splice in each instance, while a top runner wouldn't.
Oh, splicing, right. I didn't think about that. Right, so if your health is just always full, it doesn't look weird. Like there's going to be no health jumps, right? Ooh, good theory. Good theory, good theory. I forgot about that. I didn't think about that.
Make the movement or healing mistakes that Jadewi did, these are only circumstantial evidence and don't prove concretely that the run was cheated. But there's one more detail that Wave Warrior focused on, and that's Jadewi's attempt count. If we look at the splits from his first run on November 13th, we see he has a total of 256 attempts. And when he achieved the second place time on the 17th, his attempt count went up to 1,126, with these being the only runs he ever finished. That's 870 attempts over the course of 4 days, and he was called out about this in the Discord, with his response being that he played 14 hours a day. But let's analyze this.
Wait, but if a run takes 2 hours, that makes no sense, right? If the world record attempt is 2 hours and at least you're getting somewhere close, it depends though, because if there's like a make or break part of the, sorry, I'm trying to predict this. If there's like a make or break part of the run in like the first 5 minutes or 2 minutes, right? Like a weird RNG or something where you're restarting over and over and over again, then a number like this, like 900 attempts in 4 days would make sense, right? But if you divide 900, let's see, 900 divided by 4 is 225. So it's approximately 225 attempts a day. 225 divided by, and he says he plays 14 hours a day. It's 16 attempts per hour. That seems, and again, I don't know how the speedrunning community works, but 16 attempts per hour seems very high, doesn't it? Unless my math is totally wrong. Did I just do the wrong math? Let's see what they say.
With a session time of 14 hours across 4 days, we get a total of 56 hours. Since there aren't any VODs of his attempts, we can't know for sure, but let's take his word and assume this is correct. The earliest reset point in the run is Mudkip Manip, as it occurs directly at the beginning.
This is exactly what we were talking about. When is a part of the speedrun when you need to reset? Looks like 3 minutes in.
To execute it, you need to perform a soft reset, then use a timer to confirm the Mudkip on a certain frame to obtain the naughty nature with specific stats. You won't know if the Manip worked until the battle with the Poochyena. If its gender is male, you were a frame early and have the wrong Mudkip. But if you're a frame late, the genders of both Pokemon and Mudkip's HP will be identical to the correct frame.
Wow, again, so you're down to the... Right off the bat, there's a frame perfect. It seems like there's something you have to do right off the bat that's frame perfect. So I can actually understand the amount of resets. But having to do 16 in an hour, yeah, it depends how many, I guess it does depend on how many times you're resetting this. This is really fascinating.
The frame early reset is about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, with the frame late reset being closer to 5 minutes, as you need to play longer to verify the Mudkip.
But still, 3 minutes, hang on, my math is terrible. 60 divided by 3, that's 20 attempts. So if you're failing that every single time, maybe then it comes around to that many attempts. 60 divided by 3 is obviously 20. Sorry, I could have just done that in my head, but I'm stupid today. So that's 20 attempts, and he was averaging 16 attempts an hour.
Yeah, but let's be generous and assume that Jadewi reset at the 3-minute 20 mark each time. 870 attempts resetting at the earliest possible Mudkip Manip gives a total minute count of 2,900, or just over 48 hours. This leaves 8 hours of time to perform any run that made it beyond Mudkip Manip, which equates to 4 full attempts that didn't die, with one of those resulting in a second place run. You can adjust the calculation in Jadewi's favor a bit by accounting for attempts that reset before Mudkip Manip due to error. Wave Warrior offered 100 such attempts in his original calculation and attributed no reset penalty to them as well.
Okay.
Despite this, the time Jadewi had for anything but Mudkip Manip only goes from just under 8 hours to a little over 13 hours, meaning he spent 43 madness-inducing hours grinding Mudkip Manips and only saw beyond the first 3 minutes of the game for a total of 13 hours, or 6.5 full runs of the game at record pace. This is not a lot of time, especially when you consider that the game is full of high-variance fights that can end a run. But Jadewi is questioned about his attempt count and has this to say.
I'd imagine it's reasonably likely to get a lucky run in that many attempts. Sounds more like persistence than luck, I guess. I'm just surprised that only this is surprising. I'm just surprised that only 2 of the 1,000 runs finished. I guess if you're going for world record, if you're off by a certain bit, if you're specifically going for a world record, a WR, right? Sure, you're going to be resetting a lot more. I get that. And he says 50% of my attempts did not pass Roxanne and 45% of the remaining 50 did not pass TNL. Okay, so we're going to find out probably what that means. What's the video about? This is about the biggest cheater in Pokemon history was finally caught. That's the name of the video we're analyzing.
50% of my attempts did not pass Roxanne and 45 of the remaining 50% did not pass Tate and Lisa. Roxanne is the first gym leader with the fight taking place just over 15 minutes into the run. Given that he has a huge attempt count, this is a clever thing to say, but as we saw with the math, it doesn't make any sense. Sapphire is a hard game to get a run going in given the various run killers, with top runners spending entire streams not getting anything beyond the mid game. And given that Jadewi had a budget of 13 hours, the only conclusion is that at best, his attempt count is fake, and at worst, the entire run is suspect. In a message to another runner, Jadewi claims that he doesn't save any of his splits, and that he sets the attempt count by hand each time he starts a grind. It is possible he grinded 14 hours a day and put the attempt count in wrong, but there's no way of verifying if this claim is true or false.
It's all like, it really does everything. Here's the thing about catching liars, guys. If you're trying to get clarification on someone who you suspect is lying, if everything they say is just making things more vague and more obscured, and everything they say adds another layer of like, oh, well, I guess that could be true, but now, oh, well, they did it manually, right? Oh, they did everything manually, so now everything is in question. They could have just got it wrong. If everything they say is sowing more doubt, there's a great chance they're lying. When someone is telling the truth, typically, this is just normal conversation that I've observed from talking to people who are telling the truth versus people who are lying. When someone's telling the truth and you ask them clarifying questions, they'll give you an answer that makes sense, and you go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And you actually end up with less questions. If you have any follow-up questions, you'll ask 1 or 2, and then they'll explain it, and you'll be like, okay, that makes sense. People that are being intentionally vague and adding doubt into the conversation, a lot of the time you can tell right off the bat they are indeed lying. And that's what I love about watching these speedrun attempts, because I love the psychology behind lying. I know people like that. Me too. Yeah, me too. I think, like, especially when you're trying to get timelines, something someone is saying about like a timeline or where they were, what they were doing with a certain person, like if that doesn't make sense, and no matter how many questions you ask them doesn't clarify anything, if you just get more confused when you talk to that person, they're not necessarily lying, but they're hiding the truth. And I think hiding the truth is it's lying, essentially. Anyway, so the fact that what they're saying on Discord is not helping and making things seem even more sketchy, that's kind of a psycho, for me, from my armchair psychoanalyst perspective. It does raise some red flags. Either way, it's, again, nothing about this run so far is inherently, this person is guaranteed cheating, but when there's so many red flags in a run, you can pretty much safely assume that they are cheating.
False. If we go back to Mudkip Manip, we also see another glaring issue. Given that he would have spent 43 hours on this trick alone, it reveals another fact. Jadewi is extremely inconsistent at performing manipulations. If Jadewi is this bad at Mudkip Manip, then it's safe to say he's likely not great with Wingull Manip either. And assuming he talked to Mom and used the -5 step count in every attempt, only 3 of 6 frames on this step count produce a Wingull. This means he would have been failing the Manip 50% of the time, even if he executed it properly. Kyogre Manip is likely harder to perform than the other 2 as well, especially with the added pressure of being on good pace, with each failed attempt costing 45 seconds. But Jadewi hits this first try, despite spending over 40 hours resetting on.
Based on how poorly he performs some of the other manipulations, this happening on a one-shot is not going to happen, which is understandable. Maybe the only sort of doubt I have here is that this could be in my very limited knowledge of what we're learning about speedrunning, this could just be an incredibly lucky run from someone who's very mediocre. But we also do know that this person has later on has set multiple records. So it's weird seeing a run. It's very weird seeing a run from someone who is like that good, but then you actually watch their gameplay and world record holders are like, this person's like doesn't actually have a lot of knowledge here. So that's interesting.
On Mudkip Manip. He also played on the DS console, which isn't hardware top runners prefer to play on, as it's slightly slower than the Game Boy player for GameCube, resulting in final times that are about 10 seconds slower due to the frame rate difference.
Whoa, that's a big difference.
Had he played this on the optimal hardware, it would have been world record by 5 seconds. None of this sat well with Wave Warrior,
huge.
But since he couldn't find a splice or other definitive method of cheating, he kept this to himself. Fortunately, he only had to wait a month before more people became suspicious, as Jadewi laid claim to the most prestigious record in all of Pokemon. The current red any % glitchless record was set on January 26th in 2023 and was the result of almost a decade of grinding by Pokeguy. Not only was Pokeguy's time monumental, but it beat the previous record by over a minute and came—
1 hour and 44 minutes on the original. So like this is obviously, they're saying like this is like the Pokemon record because I think this is the first Pokemon game to ever come out. So this game has had the most amount of time to be speedrun. And it's 1 hour and 44 is like a good time. That's a good speedrun time. And this is glitchless, right? So this is just straight up going through the game. How do you beat this game in 1 hour 44 minutes? We got to check out a video on that.
Came just 3 seconds away from what
and there's Wave Warrior down there too.
Final minute barrier. His time was so good that a community member offered a $5,000 bounty for anyone that could beat it before February 1st, 2024, with an additional bounty of $1,000 being offered for anyone that set a 143.
Just for the love of the game, man. That guy's like, damn, I love this game so much. I want to see someone beat it. Here's a prize. Like, here's a monetary prize. So I guess that's why this exact moment right here is probably explains like 90%, maybe even 95% of all cheaters in speedrunning. The money. I get that there are people, and probably a lot of people, that want to do this for the fame and recognition, but like this isn't a huge community, right? This isn't necessarily a massive community. This is a very niche online community. But there's a good chunk of money being thrown around for just picking up a quick world record. $5,000 for a world record is really, I mean, it doesn't seem a lot at the end of the day, but if someone is like ready to cheat, they could see that as essentially free money. Like, I'll just take the bounty if they catch me later, whatever. I don't know. I guess a lot of these people think they're not going to get caught, which is crazy considering this is probably one of the most scrutinized thing on the planet, man. This is like, they're getting down to the frame, like literally frames, right? Frame by frame analysis. This is like, this is higher than some Olympic level sports. Not all of them, obviously. A lot of Olympic sports are down to the frame. Some are not.
On Boxing Day 2023, Jadewi would stream a run of any % glitchless that beat the record by 11 seconds.
How is he streaming it? That's my question.
It caused a wave of suspicion across the community. And if we look at his history with—
it's almost like it's very sketchy. Suddenly a $5,000 bounty appears, and then this guy out of nowhere is like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then just suddenly a world record appears. It's almost like every time a bounty appears, this guy suddenly is beating records. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird.
The category, we can start to see why. Looking at his grind between June 7th and 10th, he improved his PB by a minute each day. This is unusual, as it normally takes runners months to drop their time by a minute this close to the record, with PBs usually resulting in a gain of 10 to 20 seconds. For Jadewi, the opposite was true. A gain of a few seconds was rare, with leaps of over a minute being a regular occurrence. And look—
that's crazy. I understand. It depends on what you're doing, right? When you're at the top of your game for like, let's say exercise and working out, I've noticed that strength seems to work like that. I've lost a bunch of weight in my life. Not right now. We've packed it all back on, right? I'm still cultivating mass. I'm in the cultivating mass stage right now. But back in the day, when I was a little bit fitter and losing a lot of weight, I've noticed that once you get down to it, it sort of happens in phases. Like weight loss and skill gain and stuff typically doesn't happen in like this straight linear line or an exponential curve. It's these plateaus and then big bursts. What normally happens is, sorry, and this is also a tangent, I just find this stuff fascinating. You're losing weight, you lose weight a little bit, and then you plateau, right? You plateau for, it can be months at a time. And then you're doing the same thing, you nothing. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, your body's like, fine. And then you go, boom, and you lose like 5 pounds, right? But to have this happen in increments of a few seconds when it comes to speedrunning seems normal. Like that's the plateaus we're talking about here, a few seconds at a time, right? Plateau, and then something clicks in your brain, your neurons line up, and then suddenly, boom, you knock a little bit of time off. But coming a minute every time at one of probably the most speedrun games ever is ridiculous. And it almost looks like he's trying to fake it and like leave the pattern there and show that there's some sort of pattern of him growing, but like it's really, he's almost not, if he did this over a decade, then sure, maybe he could have got away with it. But it seems like he tried to do it too quick. He was a little too greedy.
Looking at his attempt count during June, we see his 147 came on his 119th run. Another anomaly, as most top runners near this time have an attempt count in the thousands.
Yeah.
This rapid progression did raise some questions,
Hard
but
to believe
nobody
that he's built
suspected
different.
that he could be cheating. And when he resumed this category in September, it's worth noting that the only run he provided with video proof was the 147.52. He'd set a 4th place time that came 5 days after a record in blue no save corruption. And if we look at his attempt count, we see that it's now at 1,230, with his last PB having a count of 851, meaning he did 371 attempts in the span of 5 days. This brings us to the record,
Grinder.
and as soon as the final split was hit, Wave Warrior proof called Jadewi in chat by asking him to hard reset the emulator to prove the run was done live and not pre-recorded.
Oh, of course. I didn't even think about that. Of course you could just pre-record, like you could totally pre-record a run and then live stream it. I didn't even think about that. Oh my God, that's a new level of cheating unlocked. Holy crap. My streams are gonna be so much better now. I'm just gonna pre-record everything. That's crazy. And so this is Wave Warrior. He's one of the GOATs, I guess, or he's like a very accomplished speedrunner. He had the world record in one of them, right? Do me a favor, please, and hard reset right now. That's like your parent using your full name when you're in trouble. You know you're in trouble.
Instead, Jadewi ended stream and went into the Pokemon Discord. He first posted a screenshot of his run with the caption, "Getting lucky is not a crime." Then 10 minutes later, addressed the proof call. I just saw my chat on the replay.
Okay, getting lucky is one thing, but this guy is getting lucky consistently, which doesn't make any sense. Luck isn't consistent. And then hiding behind luck is just, what do you do? This guy's a bit of an asshole. He got called out and then he got called out, ends the stream, goes into the Discord and starts moaning and whining. So part of him obviously wants to be, you obviously want to be recognized. You want to be recognized, right? You want to be, when you want you're going on this world record pace, you're like this new hotness guy coming in, beating all these records and no one's respecting you. This guy wants respect, obviously, right? He wants respect and he's not getting it. So that's pissing him off a little bit. This guy's a load of barnacles. Barnacles do give titanium. I really hope we have time to stream Subnautica today. Look, and here's Pokey Guy. Here's the GOAT, right? And Pokey Guy even says, I think the instant end stream right when the music stopped was way more sus personally, but I think the run was legit. Oh, he thinks the run was legit. Congrats. Oh, this guy's a pile of leaves. Very interesting. Okay, but there's a lot of drama in the Discord. Okay, fascinating.
I didn't have it during the run. I just saw the hard reset requests. Now I'm sus. Sus indeed, as setting a record this prestigious after a week-long grind with thousands of dollars of bounties on the line, then dodging the proof call isn't exactly behavior the community expects.
Yep.
And with more than one person now doubting his accomplishments, an investigation was launched by the moderation team.
Oh, you're in trouble. Oh, you're in trouble now. The FBI is coming after you.
Many of his attempts, the mods instead focused on 3 different pieces of evidence. His sum of best segments.
They've released the mods. You're fucked. Oh, here we go. It all goes downhill from here.
His stream layout, and messages he had with the person issuing the bounties.
Oh wow, they go deep.
If we look at his sum of best, we see that in his record, it's at 140.54. But in the 10 runs he streamed leading up to this, his sum of best was a 141.24. Between his 10th stream and the one where he got the record, there was a gap of 50 minutes. And top runners are in agreement that setting 30 seconds of gold splits in an offline attempt in this amount of time isn't possible. So what happened? When Jadewi did stream, it wasn't always...
I was just... God forbid a guy gets a little lucky, right? Imagine using that as an excuse. That's so funny. Yeah, right.
On Twitch, and looking at archives of deleted streams he did on YouTube, we see that a few days prior to December 21st, his sum of best steadily improved before arriving at a 140.54, the same number that was seen in his record. When questioned about this, he offered two explanations. Between the 21st and 22nd, he moved locations to his parents' house, and due to using a different computer, his splits file was out of date. The move itself isn't disputed, and on the surface, this appears to be a good explanation as to why his splits file rolled back for his attempts on Christmas and Boxing Day. But why did his sum of best change in the world record run? Jadewi's answer to this is that in the 50 minutes between his 10th and 11th run, he went back through his VODs and added his correct gold splits so that his sum of bests would be correct. This claim seems dubious at best, since he could have done this before grinding any attempts at his new location.
This is what I'm talking about. When you ask for clarification on someone and they say something and they're like, oh, I did this because of this. And it's just like, okay, but why didn't you do that before? You know what I mean? When they do something, you ask them a question, and then they give you an answer and you're like, what? Okay, it kind of makes sense, but now I have like 10 more questions. This person is concealing something. 2 years from 2 years ago.
If we analyze his stream layout, we can cast even more doubt on this claim.
Okay, let's check out the stream layout.
This is his stream layout for the 10 streams he did prior to the record, and this is the layout of his world record stream, which looks almost identical.
Yeah, it looks
except when you lay it over his previous 10 streams, you see that his live split shifted a couple of pixels. People change their stream layout all the time, but making a minor adjustment like that between attempts is a bit odd. And
why would you do that? I mean, I move things around a little bit all the time. Like I move you guys around and get some. Okay, so I wouldn't say that's necessarily, again, a red flag, because I do that shit all the time. I do that all the time. My camera is literally every time. I literally in this stream moved it from here to here. But let's see. That's not inherently weird. But let's see.
You compare the layout from his world record to a layout from his old location, you can see that they're an exact match. The only way this could have happened was if while he was editing his sum of bests between his 10th and 11th runs, he adjusted the live split layout to pixel perfectly match his layout from before the move. Given that he dodged a proof call and the sum of best and layout from his record match a stream before he moved, the mods were of the opinion that he pre-recorded this run and passed it off as real during his Twitch live stream. They didn't have a smoking gun, however, as no splice or use of TAS had been found.
I'm not gonna lie, this so far, most of the cheaters we have come across on so far have been like pretty bad at cheating. This guy's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So far, like he said, there's no smoking gun. And everything we've seen so far, there's really been a smoking gun. Especially the blind Super Mario speedrunner. So far, this guy's actually covering up his tracks pretty well, which, by the way, if you put this much effort into just getting a regular job, you would be making way more money. So this is still really stupid. He's actually, you know what? Give him the 5K. He's earned it. He's working his ass off to keep this lie, man. And that's one thing I've learned about life, man. Lying about your life is way harder than just being honest. No matter what it is, even if it's like a little white lie or something, like keeping that up and keeping all the storylines straight and whatever is just so much more of a burden than literally just being honest and dealing with your own and dealing with the consequences of your honesty. This seems like way too much work. Like, why would you do this? I guess for 5K, but like literally go fucking bust your ass in a regular job. You're going to be making 5K every 2 months. This seems like it's ridiculous. Why take the money, be honest, and then run? Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just a mix of recognition, like wanting to be recognized, wanting the clout without actually having to put in the work. But this guy's putting in some work. He's kind of grinding. He's dishonesty grinding right now. And I kind of respect it.
But this was just the tip of the iceberg, and they shifted their focus to other records he had set.
Oh, here we go.
If we go back to the end of November, we see that Jadewi was involved in 3 different races for Diamond and Pearl any percent Manipulous, where he set a 105.59 in the first race and a 59.46 in the second. The 105 is a very good time for a race, but the 59.46 is very significant, as not only is it a world record, but it's also the first sub 1 hour time in the category's history. This was
God forbid a man get a little lucky. God forbid a guy messes around a little bit playing Pokemon and accidentally gets a world record. It happens, okay? It happens all the time. I did it yesterday.
One of the first runs the team looked at after the investigation was launched, and there are a number of things wrong with it, so let's begin with an overview. The no manipulation category requires you to complete the first 2 gyms along with 2 Team Galactic encounters before an out of bounds glitch can be used to get you to the Hall of Fame cutscene. The run relies heavily on your starting Pokemon having good stats, with Chimchar being selected, but that's not all it needs. The powerhouse move of the run is Hidden Power, and in Gen 4, its type and power are determined by the user's IVs, which are just the values that determine a Pokemon's stats. Since you can't manipulate, this makes getting a good Chimchar a reset-intensive endeavor, with a few different combinations of stats and hidden powers being viable, but the best type to get by far is Grass. Since you can't check your hidden power to see what stats it has, you need to test it in battle, and in Jadewi's world record, we see that against the rival Starly, it wasn't very effective, but against the Piplup, it was super effective. This indicates that it's Grass type, and given the high damage output, the base power is also high as well. At this point, he has a lead on the other racers, but even with a Grass type hidden power, the
God forbid a man get a little lucky. Okay, so that just seems like is that suspicious in of itself? I guess not. It just seems like a speedrunner's dream so far, just to get a good monkey, right?
Recommended route is to get some extra experience before
Let's see where he messes up. He's gonna mess up.
He doesn't do this and head straight for Roark. Leaving the extra XP on the table is a risk and doesn't make much sense given that this was a race, but you could always say that Jadewi stopped caring about the race and wanted to go for record given his great start. So this isn't the most convincing evidence. When he finishes the run, he's beaten the previous...
Right, like if you get a great, huge RNG right off the bat, you're probably just like, fuck it, let's just go for the world record. So not dubious. I'm calling that not dubious. Honestly, this YouTuber has been very fair in judging this guy. Very fact-based, so I'm very interested to see a lot. He just really just gives you the facts why you could doubt him, and then seems to just leave the opinion up to you. Like, here's the information, take what you want with it, or make your own judgment based on this. Me, my own personal judgment, looking real sketchy.
This world record by over 1.5 minutes.
That's
but given
crazy.
The investigation, it no longer passed the sniff test, so the mods investigated. This time, it would be Minnow that analyzed the run. And not finding anything on its face that was wrong, he broke out some tools that would help him identify
Holy what is this? Oh, man! The software! Oh, you're cooked.
RNG seed of the run itself. Solving for the initial RNG seed of a Diamond or Pearl run isn't very difficult, as the seed is composed of 3 different variables. The first 2 digits are calculated by the calendar date and minute plus second value of the DS clock, with the 3rd and 4th digits being calculated by the hour value. The final 4 are the number of frames since the game booted up, plus the last 2 digits of the year.
What a very random seed generation. Is that how most seeds are generated? I don't think so. I think they're normally hashed. That's interesting. Interesting. Okay. I love also one of the cool things about learning about speedrunning. Speedrunning is so fascinating because number one, it's all about human triumph, right? And the human will to do something so mundane, but so amazing. I think I love that about speedrunning. The cheating and the drama is also so fascinating. But one of the coolest things is you also learn how a lot of these video games work on the core level. Like this, I love this. I would never have learned this in any other community, right? Who cares about this? Even game dev communities don't really give a shit about this. This is very niche, but this is actually really important for this community. I just love it. I think that's so cool.
The seed is generated the frame you clear of a TV cutscene, with the frame since boot being counted from the first white frame after doing a soft reset. But calculating Jadewi's seed was difficult for 2 reasons. First, Minnow didn't know what year Jadewi's DS clock was set to, but since it can only be a finite number, this just means that his calculation will involve a range of seeds rather than a single. And second, Jadewi hid his DS clock from the video, choosing to have the calculator active instead.
Okay, that's intentional, I would say. Okay.
This is a strange decision, as most runners won't ever change this setting. but fortunately, the clock is the default option when you receive the Poketch. So there was an instance where the DS clock was active on Jadewi's screen. This let Minnow get a range of seeds that only varied by the year variable, so he put them into a tool called Pokefinder, which lets you enter RNG seeds, and in turn, it spits out the frames that a certain Pokemon will appear on. This was only part of the equation, however, as he also needed the IVs of the Chimchar, which can be calculated by looking at its stat increases at level up. But in this case, Jadewi was using a tool that displayed the stats on screen, so Minnow plugged them into Pokefinder along with the range of RNG seeds he calculated. And what do you think happened when he hit the find button? The Chimchar that Jadewi used did not appear in any of the RNG seeds.
Oh, you're cooked! You're cooked! It's over! There we go, smoking gun. That's it. We said we didn't find a smoking gun. There we go. You can't hide that, baby. Holy crap. This guy deserves a 5K. Jesus, you can't make this story up, bro.
A clear indicator that the run had been spliced. This wasn't the only RNG.
Oh, I love that. Ugh, I'm starting to get frustrated because all of it was like, I can tell with my gut, I know this guy's cheating, bro. I know this guy's cheating. I was hoping, I thought we were, I was starting to lose hope because I didn't think we were actually going to get some evidence to prove that this guy's cheating. He cheated!
Analysis that Minnow performed, however, as the trainer ID that appears when you enter the Hall of Fame is also tied to the seed. When he reverse engineered the seed from the trainer ID, the specific ID appeared in a handful of seeds, but only one of these can occur when the DS clock is at hour 1, which we know was Jadewi's clock time if we look at when he received the Poketch and subtract his run time. This seed has a slightly higher delay than was expected of Jadewi's run, given that Minnow frame counted what his delay should be. And if we look at the Chimchar that the trainer ID seed can generate, the hidden power grass with a hasty nature isn't one of them. That makes two pieces of conclusive evidence that the run was cheated, but Minnow took it a step further.
Oh my god, Minnow the GOAT! No one's getting by this man. Oh my god, can we get this guy in the FBI, please? Can we get this guy solving actual problems in this world? Thank you very much. We haven't seen anything of this yet, but like if you get caught cheating a run and you get money for it, accepting money from a biffed run, something that you faked, like could you get sued for fraud? I think there is some world where you could get sued in some sort of way, right?
And injected the trainer ID seed into a run. The point of this was so he could compare NPC movement between the seed observed at the start.
Okay, we're getting into the nitty-gritty
from his trainer ID, as NPCs will always move the same on a given RNG seed. In Jadewi's run, we see that the NPC outside of Mom's house starts facing left, then looks up. But on the trainer ID seed, the NPC starts right, then switches to left.
Oh my god, I mean, rookie mistake. How did he not learn to hide that? I mean, that's easy.
This proves that his trainer ID doesn't match the seed in the beginning, and that even if this was the correct trainer ID, the Chimchar doesn't exist on this seed or the seed observed at the start. This was the smoking gun the mods were looking for, and before we move on to his other runs, let's look at some of his behavior around this one. On November 30th...
At this point, he's a cheater, right? But what I love about these videos is that we still have a good 11 minutes left. I'm just ripping this guy to pieces. Let's see.
After he set the 105, he went into Sin's chat and said he should try for a sub-hour time. As we know now, he achieved the feat the very next day with his fake run, so he was foreshadowing his own accomplishment in another runner's chat, then returned to gloat after he successfully passed off the fake run. I spoke to some of the runners involved in the race as part of my own investigation and asked them who organized the 3 races, and in each case, it was Jadewi who organized them, showing that not only did he fake a run, but he calculated the when and where of how he would show it off. One of them even says that looking back, his tone of voice during the run doesn't sound authentic, which lines up completely given that we know the run was pre-recorded, and to help hide this fact, he made tapping sounds on his DS during the race to make it seem like he wasn't playing a recording.
Bro, look at the amount of work this guy has to do just to keep up a lie, and then some fucking mod goes in and just rips this guy apart. All this guy's work to be a piece of shit and trick literally everyone in this community was all for nothing, and your reputation is completely ruined. You could have put more time into literally just learning the speed run, and you probably would have gotten pretty good. But instead, he decided to try and take a shortcut and steal money from people. Again, I don't think cheating and speedrunning is like this grand horrific crime. You can do a lot worse in life. However, when money is involved and you're taking away from people who are literally working their ass off and grinding this out for like 16 hours a day, and you just go in and you cheat and you splice and you take it away from that people, that makes you that makes you barnacles.
Jadewi had a previous record in this category as well, and he even points out that the time difference between them was almost identical. But I guess that's not hard to accomplish.
all of his runs are in question now, of course.
Setting up races to pass them off as legit. But this Pearl run was just the beginning. If we look at Jadewi's timeline since he started speedrunning, we see that he began with Pearl, then moved on to various categories in Gen 1, with his first record coming in Red Any %, a run of pure execution that uses save corruption to credits warp. He had posted some times with video proof prior to this record, so it didn't raise any suspicion.
Okay.
A lot of his runs between August and early October did not have video proof.
I mean, this guy isn't bad. He doesn't seem like a bad speedrunner by any means. By any means, he doesn't seem like a bad speedrunner. It just seems like he got tired of it and decided to save scum a bit and get some credit, right? God forbid a man get a little credit out of here. God forbid a man splice a little bit. I've been saying this for a long time. There needs to be an Olympic event or an Olympic competition where you're allowed to cheat. You're allowed to use steroids. Okay. So I would love to see a speed run community of that as well, where you're allowed to cheat. But if you get caught, you're eliminated and you're banned permanently. That's the rule. We actually had a friend, me and my friends in high school, when we would, instead of going out and drinking, we would play a lot of Settlers of Catan. We had a rule, and it was my favorite rule in any game I ever played. And the rule was you're allowed to cheat, but you are not allowed to get caught. And it was so much fun because it's just a game. So, we're passing cards underneath the table to each other. We're making shady deals. When someone goes up to go to the washroom, we're grabbing a card or two. But if you get caught, the consequences were catastrophic for you. And that's the thing. The consequences of getting caught have to be bad, or else it's not fun, right? You don't take a penalty or you sit out that round. You're getting wailed on by the group for the rest of the night. That sounded weird, but anyway, I do think I'm just joking. I don't think that actually would be a good idea in the speedrunning community. I don't think that would be a good idea because people are just going to be splicing and stuff. It's just a funny meme. But I do think it would be insane to see how far Olympians could push their body. I think that would be absolutely fascinating. Not good for them in the long run by any means, but just a random thought I had.
But that would change after he finished running gold, as he started setting records very quickly. Most of them were in short categories he was considered good at, so they didn't raise many eyebrows. But no save corruption is a different story. At the time when it was performed, it was generally believed to be legitimate but insanely lucky run. However, once the investigation started, some serious doubt was cast on its legitimacy. The run is a mix of RNG and execution, as you need to.
It would be funny to submit runs with a sealed record of how you cheated, and if you win, the judges can't figure it out. Yes, there was a show literally kind of like that called Not Lie to Me. It was Penn and Teller, and they had this show about magic. Penn and Teller are like these famous magicians, right? And they had this show where like American Idol style, where people would come up and do magic performances in front of them, and if they could guess it, you lost or something. I might be completely wrong because I actually never watched it. Fool us. Yes, that was the concept. Very close if you think about it. Like modern magic and the way magic works now, a magic show is just cheating, right? It's just lying to the audience, but lying very well. And if you figure out how to do it, that's kind of the fun of it. That is the fun of it. Someone, it's holding a dove in this hand, and then they grab the dove, and then they go, and the dove comes out of your mouth. It didn't actually happen. That's not, part of the fun is figuring it out. Anyway, again, another tangent. We're going to get through this video today, I swear.
Play to Viridian Forest before you can activate the credits warp glitch, which requires the rival fight and going through the tall grass on Route 1 3 times. For the rival fight, the fastest thing that can happen is for the Squirtle to use Tackle 5 times to KO your Charmander, with it having about a 50% chance to select Tackle over Tail Whip. This equates to about a 3% chance of getting the optimal RNG, with some edge cases bumping the odds up a bit, but they're still low. When it comes to the tall grass, you need to pass through 41 tiles of it, with each tile having a tile value of 25. To decide if you get an encounter, the game rolls a number between 0 and 255, with an encounter being generated if the number rolled is less than the tile number.
I didn't know that.
That is absolutely fascinating. I always wondered how they did that. I always wondered how they did encounters in this game. That is so fascinating. That's what I love about speedrun. I would have had no clue because I've always wondered how that works. That's crazy. Okay.
Gives odds of about 2% for 0 encounters, with combined odds of about 5% to get that and a good Squirtle fight. And this RNG is required for any potential world records. After that, you need to manipulate a Spearow catch, as it's a better Pokemon than Charmander for clearing the trainers in the forest. Once you have Spearow, you're now ready for the most difficult manipulation in all of Pokemon speedrunning. It involves manipulating 0 encounters in the forest so you can trigger a Pikachu fight as you enter a trainer's line of sight.
What?
This gets the game in a state where your actions now edit the code itself.
What? Did he just say your actions edit the code itself? How did they figure this out?
Known as arbitrary code execution,
What?
or ACE. The manipulation doesn't end at the Pikachu, however. A runner named Grogear developed it so that you carry it through 2 more bug catcher fights, with the requirements being perfect inputs and short windows to clear text boxes, which leaves a lot of spots for mistakes across the—
I'm sorry. I know I'm yelling right now. This is not an overreaction. I am genuinely shocked that they could figure that out. Gen 1 is so broken. I guess so. Holy. And then they figured out a way to carry it over? I guess because like once someone figures out that glitch, then suddenly like that literally changes the speed running of this game. Because the options, like when someone finds out a game breaking bug like that, no pun intended. When someone finds that out, literally everyone probably goes feral trying to figure out how to manipulate that best. And this guy probably found a really cool way to do that. That's so cool. So complex. Literally like, okay. So I went to school for programming. And it's like literally, this reminds me of programming in assembly. For those who don't know what assembly is, it's literally like machine level programming, memory management, and all that. So we're down to literally, we're deep in the weeds in the code here. That's what playing on the Game Boy. We're coding like assembly on the Game Boy through Pokemon. So cool. Assembly was actually really fun. I really did enjoy programming that. I like the base. I liked it because it made sense to me, if that makes sense. All this newfangled stuff. It's all crazy, man. It was fun. I had fun. Yeah, I had fun doing it. My professor was cool too. I think that makes a big difference when you're enjoying something. A good professor can make something that's incredibly dull and make it fascinating. Our assembly professor was literally a wizard. Anyway, so this is cool. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, this one was a little more rambly today, but we're having fun watching this. If please subscribe to the channel, come check us out. We're going to be reacting to a ton more stuff like this. If you guys have any recommendations about like really cool speedrunning stuff that like does really cool game breaky stuff, please let me know. I want to learn a little bit more about that. Like that players found how desync writes and calls to make crazy shit happen. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff I'd love to learn about.
2-minute manipulation. In Jadewi's run, not only did he get a 5-turn death with the rival, but he also had 0 encounters before the Spearow manip. And
damn, that's like some dream level luck, eh? God forbid a man get a little lucky, right? We haven't reacted to the dream stuff yet. I'm very curious about that. So we'll check that out too.
To execute Grogear's new manip, not only did he perform it, but he also got 2 unmanipulated crits on the final 2 bug catcher fights. When Grogear first developed the extended manipulation, it took him weeks to get a below average consistency with it. But if we look at Jadewi's proficiency with a comparable manip, we don't see much reason to be confident in his abilities. The triple extended manip in Red Glitchless requires you to manipulate a Nidoran encounter
triple
and catch,
extended
continue
manip.
it into a Pidgey encounter and catch, then extend it into a 0 encounter forest until you fight the bug catcher, where you force one final event by having its Weedle use String Shot. It's agreed by top runners that while this manip is hard, Grogear's in the no save corruption category is harder. And when it came to Jadewi's execution at the triple extended, we see that he often dropped it at the Pidgey catch, as happened in his 143.
Literally, I love how they just go through it. They go through a world record cheaters video, and they're just like, this guy just fucking sucks, dude. I can't prove he's cheating because he's good at hiding his cheats, but he's legit just bad at the game. There's no way. There's no way this guy has 10 records. It's not possible. This guy's actual balls. skill issue.
This doesn't mean he can't execute the harder manip, but it does cast doubt on his ability to be able to hit it while under the pressure of finally getting the 5-turn death and 0 encounter start. A further problem is that by Jadewi's own admission, he only had 5 or 6 runs that were 5-turn 0 encounters, but that he failed the extended manip in all of them.
Right.
Meaning the only run he had beyond the manip was this one. After the manip, there are still some actions.
The way this guy responds to questions is baffling. Sometimes he gives them way too much. Sometimes he lies. And like obscures the truth a lot to like put it into question. And sometimes he just straight up tells the truth that also puts his own self into question. It's really bizarre. It's almost like he doesn't know what to lie about, right? Honestly, if I were him, I would literally just shut the fuck up. That's probably like, that's the best advice you can give to any of these cheaters, man. When people start asking you questions, just go MIA. Just, you know, you're like, sorry, I was in Barbados. You know, I don't have to answer. I'm the world's best. I don't have to answer to you guys. Fuck you guys. I don't know. He's good at it. I'm frustrated because he's good at being a cheater, but he also sucks. He kind of sucks at the social aspect of cheating, because cheating is also a social aspect, right? You have to convince people you're not cheating. So he's really good at the technical side of cheating. I would label him as a technical cheater. That's where he's good. You know, the splicing and the manipulation, he's got that down. But when it comes to like actually answering questions to the detectives, he just raises more questions. So he's got to work on that a little bit. I'd like to see him come back next year, work on that a little bit, improve that, and we'll see how far he can get next year. Better luck next time, pal.
You need to take, and Jadewi proceeded to get the best RNG possible with 2 unmanipulated crits, the faster of 2 possible fights, a fast bug catcher dialogue, and a non-crash ace warp. With the combined odds of these events being 1 in 800, you may have noticed a pattern developing where Jadewi always finishes a run if he gets a good start, with there only being a handful of examples where he posted screenshots of dead runs. And this wasn't lost on the mods as they carried out the investigation. While they couldn't find a splice, they did acknowledge that despite every world record,
these mods are like rabid dogs, bro.
Exceptional luck, Jadewi rarely spent more than a week grinding any category before achieving a record.
You know, I'm serious. The mods, whoever is doing the work of this is obviously unpaid, right? These guys are like literally the saviors of this community, because we talked about it last time in a previous video. When a cheater gets caught in speedrunning, it's a good thing, I guess. But at the end of the day, if you decide to cheat in speedrunning, you always hurt the community. You always hurt the credibility of the community. So these mods, the fact that they're like doing such a great job rooting out these people, they're literally keeping this community alive. Because if the place is just rampant with cheaters, then no one's going to be doing this. Right? So this is a good thing. Shout out to the mods doing all this work. This is crazy.
And in this run, the single attempt he managed to get through the manipulation received the best luck possible, with their verdict being that it was likely achieved through illegitimate means. There's also the Red Glitchless Classic record he set on November 21st, just 4 days after his second place time in Sapphire, when he last.
And once you get caught once, now they have to do all this work and go through all of his other runs and try and make sure that they were also legit. Like, it's also just like a nightmare for the community when this happens, right?
First ran the category, his attempt count was 164, and the earliest he could have started this grind was midday on the 17th. When he got the record, his attempt count was 622, meaning across 3.5 days, he did 458 attempts. If we run a calculation and assume he played 14 hours a day as he claimed in Sapphire, we see that he was averaging 7 minutes per attempt, which doesn't make a lot of sense, as most runs in this category are getting to Brock, which is at the 11-minute mark. This run also didn't have any identifiable splices in it, but given all of the other evidence, this run's legitimacy was also doubted by the mods. And not wanting to alarm Jadewi in case he tried to hide evidence, they didn't inform him of this investigation when it started. Along with analyzing his runs, they also gathered statements he made in Discord and various Twitch chats, and one that consistently appeared was Jadewi claiming he didn't lose runs in the late game because he was better at execution and handling pressure. He says that if you gave his RNG to other runners, they wouldn't be able to execute, then complains about—
Oh my god, this guy's an asshole, bro. He's literally just saying, I built different, man. These plebs just don't have the talent I have, all right? Yeah, I'm lucky, but I'm also good with the luck. God forbid a man get a little lucky here.
People calling him lucky when he sets a record, but congratulate others when they do.
I told you, he wants the credit.
Shouldn't have surprised him, given that he finished his best pace ever every single time he got it. After his 145 in Glitchless, he acknowledges that other players who have spent more time grinding than him and have worse times are better runners than he is. It's almost as if he's telling on—
And here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I think he's not consistent. That's the problem. He's consistent. He's bad, but he's also has these like crazy world record plays, which doesn't really seem to exist in the speedrunning community. The guys that are up at the top are constantly pumping out these high numbers. And when you watch the footage, you're like, yeah, this guy's fucking amazing. This guy's like pretty much dead on. He makes a few mistakes here and there, just human nature, but overall he's consistently fantastic. This guy, when they watch the footage, they're like, this guy's balls. This guy's balls. And then they say, hey, dude, like, this world record is great. Congratulations. But like, can you answer some questions? It's a little sus. He goes, oh God. Yeah, I'm not as good as the other guy. Sorry.
Himself. And then goes on to say that if he wins the $1,000,
guy's really grinding my gears.
He would give half to 2 different runners. He's asked at one point why he doesn't upload any of his runs to the leaderboard, with Jadewi replying that he doesn't have a Game Boy player and can't run on emulator because his computer sucks. Which brings up another point. When Jadewi wasn't streaming attempts, he never locally recorded any of his runs. Pokemon Red is not a CPU-intensive game to stream, let alone...
Dude, your Pokemon can't run Pokemon Red? Or sorry, your computer can't run Pokemon Red? What are you talking about? Maybe it's the act of... What is he talking about? His computer sucks? What is bro running? The original Macintosh? Did he make his computer out of rocks? This is the lowest spec requirement game that probably has ever existed. I'm sure there's lower. There's like cool tech demos and stuff. But out of like the mainstream games, this has got to be one of the lowest. That's ridiculous.
Record. In fact, it could be ran on a TI-84 calculator.
You can run it on a calculator.
That uses a processor from 1974. And one member of the community even plays and records attempts on a Lenovo T420.
Oh, what a
PC pad that's
beast.
13 years old. The first Game Boy emulator released in 96.
That's so dumb.
The first screen
Again, it's just another thing that he said that's just raised a million more questions, right? Like that doesn't, oh, my PC's bad. That doesn't answer anything. I'm so confused. I could rant about that for an hour. What is he talking about? I need to see this guy's computer now. I'm fascinated.
Software's Fraps, released in 99. Fraps doesn't require much processing power by today's standards, and its 3.0 version has min specs of a Pentium 4 processor, which is hardware available in the year 2000. Given this, the fact that he didn't record
called
runs
out by
and
Wave
made
Warrior
excuses
too
for why he couldn't makes zero sense, as a PC that's older than he is can perform the required operations without overheating or maxing out on memory. Given the hard evidence in Pearl, the mountain of evidence from
This guy got
Sapphire
destroyed.
and other games, and all of these statements, the mods were confident in their investigation and were ready to move forward with their decision. But before they could, Jadewi posted that he was retiring from speedrunning.
Oh, did someone tip him off? Ooh, maybe he got tipped off that the mods were investigating. He decided to, he's like, you can't kill me, I'll kill myself.
He cites an increasing school schedule as the main reason, as he won't have time to do 14-hour-a-day grinds anymore.
Convenient.
And says that with the free time he does have, he will be focusing on speed cubing, which is solving Rubik's Cubes incredibly fast. On top of this, he's out of shorter categories to run, as he doesn't have the mental strength to do longer runs and needs breaks every 2 hours, which seems odd given that he would spend 14 hours a day grinding according to his own statements.
Wild.
He then goes into a story about how he was bullied as a child.
Oh, it's okay. I was bullied. That's why I cheat. What are we talking about? You don't need to explain why you're retiring, right? You just fucking retire. Like this guy just, look at this giant attention-seeking story that he's, oh, I was bullied. Oh. He's 21 though, so if you think about it, he's just a kid, right? His frontal lobe is not developed whatsoever. 21 makes a lot of sense. Look at his reasoning for cheating. At the age of 9, medical examinations showed that my bones were growing half as fast as average. Why are we trauma dumping on Maine? They might stop growing altogether, making me a dwarf? What are we talking about? What does this got to do with anything? Not the bones! This guy, the second this guy turns like 27 and his brain fully develops, like he's gonna be like, what the? He's gonna look back at this time of his life and cringe so hard. I never did anything obviously like this crazy when I was younger, but I obviously have cringe moments from when I was in my early 20s that like I look back at now and I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? That is so embarrassing. He's gonna hate, oh man, he's gonna block this out from memory, dude. This is pretty bad.
Medical condition. I'm not going to dispute this or go into it beyond highlighting that he cites these experiences as to why he didn't stream much during his grinds. He ends with a final shot at another runner, then rises.
You know what? A medical, okay, obviously we can't joke too much about medical stuff. I do get that, right? But you just stream without a camera, bro. Like that's a lot of these speedrunners stream without a camera anyway. So that doesn't make, again, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's just raising more questions. I don't know. I feel like this whole thing is like he was starting to get caught and like the pressure got to him of everyone like kind of like starting to pressure him and ask questions and like really clarify a lot of stuff. And it seems like he finally broke from that pressure. That's what it seems like. So he kind of came out with this sob story. So I'm not buying it though.
He's off into the sunset, or so everyone thought, because the next day, the mods informed him that as a result of their investigation, he had been banned from the Discord and leaderboards.
I bet he knew this was coming. I bet he found out or someone tipped him off or something. I feel like that happened. There's no way. This isn't the time of him doing that. And then right after that, getting banned the next day, he definitely tried to head that off. That's not a coincidence. There's no way. He had to have. Yeah, he had to have.
Not informing him about the investigation was a smart move, because immediately after this, he began deleting Discord messages and videos. But luckily, the mods had already backed up everything. He replies to this message the next morning, stating he would wait for the report to be released before commenting. But just 2 hours later, he released another paste bin.
Yeah, he can't help it. Oh, he can't help it. Look at this. He can't help it. He wrote another one. GG, quite impressed with the effort to find how I cheated. You know, it all comes out in the end. I knew I was going to get caught sooner. Oh, he admits it. Oh, here we go. Oh my God, here we go.
GG, quite impressed with the effort to find out how I cheated. And goes into why he cheated his first run, which was the blue no save corruption, claiming he did perform 3,000 attempts, but became frustrated he couldn't get the record. He admits to using save states to splice the run together, then says that he didn't cheat for bounties and that he felt terrible about cheating and didn't like lying to people. But when he
I felt bad while I was doing it. Oh. Fuck you.
He saw the run wasn't scrutinized, he decided to cheat more as he wanted to make the most of his remaining time speedrunning. He admits to Sapphire, Red Classic, and Red Glitchless being cheated, and even claims to have had a save state ready in case he was proof called for the 143, then offers a single apology and claims again that he didn't care about the bounties, and had he received them, he would have given half to the runners he promised to distribute the $1,000 bounty to, and that the other $7,500 would have been given to his parents. This statement is absolutely ludicrous.
Yes, it is ludicrous. It is ludicrous. He's literally been caught. He's been caught, and now he's like trying to like paint himself as the good guy. Ridiculous, by the way. This is okay. I was gonna say this guy is like, I was trying to chop it up to be him being 21 and young and stupid. This guy's fucking delusional, bro. This is fucking delusional, bro. Trying to save face at the end. Literally, what I think the best way, if you're in like some sort of scandal like this, literally the best way, literally just fucking own up to it. And that's it. Don't do anything else besides owning up to it. Don't say you were planning on giving it all to your parents. Don't do any of that, because right now, no one's going to believe a goddamn word you said anyway, even if it was true. Literally just say, you could say something simple like, you know what? I fucked up. I knew this was wrong. I need to look at myself. I'm going to take some time and look at myself and understand and try and understand why I did this. I am genuinely sorry. I know my words aren't going to fix this. I am sorry, and I will try and make sure that this never happens again. That's it. That's literally all you can do at this point. You're fucked, right? I don't know, man. This, again, he's just a kid. He's just a kid, but like, I wasn't doing this. When I was 21, I knew this shit was fucked up. So I don't know. I don't know if just being young is really like an excuse for it, bro. Everything I said about my past is true and explains why I cheated, by the way. That line is absolutely diabolically insane. Literally blaming the outside world for the reason why you're a piece of shit makes you an actual even worse piece of shit, by the way. And then he also didn't do it for money. I was really going to give it all to my parents. I was going to give them all to the speedrunners. You don't believe me? Think what you want. I have no reason to lie. What is he talking about? He just gave a million reasons why he was lying in the first place. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If you're lying about speedrunning, you're probably lying a little bit about your life as well. Like, so it's 100% true. Well, no one believes anything you're ever going to say ever again at this point. You're going to have to change your name and move to Majorca. This is juicy though. Thank you for whoever recommended this to me. This is juicy, and this kind of response like this, if I ever saw this, I'd be like, well, you're never welcome in the community again after saying this. If someone like took some time and said, oh, I'm going to take time to work on myself, I hope you guys accept me back, I would maybe give them a second chance. Maybe. But this, they can fuck right off. This is ridiculous.
Should be reason enough to doubt anything he said, as it's contradicted in the very paste bin itself. If he didn't cheat for the bounty,
Yo, at this point, get the mods to go through this guy's Battleco records, bro. Like, they'll find something this guy's lying about.
Then why cheat the runs that award you the bounties in the first place?
Exactly.
And more importantly, he didn't say that he would have refused the money, but
he
instead
wanted the money.
He would have taken it and given it to other runners and his parents.
Yep.
If he didn't care
Doesn't
about
make
the
any
bounties,
sense.
Then why message one of the bounty posters asking if you can stream the runs on Discord instead of on Twitch? This is in direct conflict with his pay spin, since why would you ask if you can claim a bounty if you didn't care about them? Never mind asking to stream your runs in a less public method. Interesting.
Fucking checkmate. This guy caught in 32K, 64K. Insane. And I hope this video stays up forever.
Interestingly enough, he never admitted to cheating the Pearl Run, despite that one having direct hard evidence, nor did he admit to the red or yellow any % runs being cheated, likely because at the time of the mods informing him of the ban, they hadn't released the report, so Jadewi didn't actually know what they had caught and what they hadn't. After his pay spin, he did admit to using save states to splice the Pearl Run together, and you might be wondering how no splices were able to be detected, and the answer is that Jadewi is very familiar with video editing software. He had other YouTube channels where he created music, Photoshop tutorials, and edited challenge videos around Pokemon. The challenge video—
Bro, imagine putting this talent into like literally just building your YouTube channel, or like actually speed running, bro. Like, it's such a shame that this talent of editing literally just fucking went to waste. You used it to embarrass yourself. You use this to make a fucking mockery of like an entire speedrunning community, dude. That's crazy, man. This guy's a villain. There's no way around it.
Channel has since been scrubbed, but using the Wayback Machine, you can see that it did have content at one point. So the answer to how he was able to splice undetected is that he was very skilled at using equipment that can create splice runs. And with the Pearl Run,
he was just good at it, bro. Like I said, he was I called it in the middle of this video. He was just a technically good cheater. But the social aspect, now we're learning now, the social aspect is 50% of cheating. You got to lock that down too. You got to get your social aspect cheating up too. You got to get that your social skills up if you want to be a really good cheater.
In particular, he claims he did it on a flash card, which has faster load times than the DS. If you look at the loads in the video, however, they are about the same as you'd expect on a DS, meaning he accounted for this discrepancy when splicing the run.
Bro's like, he's fully caught. He's even on his truth arc, right? And they're still catching him in lies. He's still like, oh yeah, I cheated, but I was like still good. I was still good. Do you guys still think I was good at this? Like, I'm still better than like some of the world record guys. Please tell me. Please tell me I'm good. It was because of the bones, guys. It was my bones.
This also defeats his earlier claim of not being able to locally record because of his PC being potato quality. As any computer that can run editing software certainly has the capacity to run an emulator.
It was another lie. We called
software. All of this goes to show the lengths he went through not to get caught, so the mods deserve congratulations in catching this before he was able to claim bounties, as while getting lucky may not be a crime, succeeding in stealing almost $10,000 with fake videos almost certainly is. And who knows, maybe I'll be making a video on a speed cubing cheater later this year. Thanks for watching, and don't forget—
He's definitely gonna cheat. I didn't even think about that. He's definitely gonna cheat in speed cubing too, right? Like, he's definitely gonna cheat. There's no way. This guy only knows how to cheat.
Get to support me on Patreon or become a member here on YouTube.
Fantastic video. Honestly, incredible video. What a beautiful, beautiful documentary. That was really incredible. Oh my God. Well, what have we learned? You can't get away with it, guys. The mods will catch everything. And how could he speedrun with his small bones?